WarsawJS.
All right, this talk will be a bit lighter than the previous one. It's going to be about the tool I found recently. Okay. So as WarsawJS, we also organize workshops. And during workshops, there's often a problem of configuring your local environment. If I'm having a workshop for like 10 people, there's always like 1 or 2 people struggling to even set up the project. And it takes like a lot of time to configure it locally and be ready to run your first line of code. And the solution I found is this Gitpod.io. And what they offer is virtual IDE, but it's a bit different than the one people used to find on the internet, like JS Fiddle or any other environment. Because this one allows you to open VS Code in a browser, and not only the like raw VS Code, but the VS Code with your actual preferences from your local machine, and much more. So they already are used by other companies like Amazon, like Uber, so quite a reliable company. They are growing fast. I'm not sponsored by the way, but if they want to pay me, like I'm always welcoming. So I'll just show this in action. So the cool feature they offer is to add a like button in your README that allows people to just press it and open the repository with pre-made configuration. And once it loads, I will show you how the config file looks like. So as you can see, it all automatically opens like dark theme, theme for icons. This also is configured from the configuration is saved. So if I search for sync data, you can sync it even with your local machine. So if you have you use VS Code for daily development, you can install a plugin that allows you to sync your local settings. And I will show you how it looks like. There we go. So they offer a VS Code plugin that allows you to sync your settings. Because right now, the default options for VS Code are GitHub and I think Microsoft account. But this one also allows you to sync both settings, the online and offline. So it's quite interesting. So what we have here. So maybe if you saw, it already opens the runs the npm install and runs the npm run build, npm run start, and creates a server that I can open. And the project is already running. It took like a couple seconds. And it also has out-of-the-box GitHub integration. So person pressing the button can automatically join the repository, create new branch, make a commit, and it's a matter of a couple minutes, or maybe even less, to run your first line of code and create a pull request. So this is an example I've used during one of my workshops. It's Next.js frontend and Netlify CMS backend. The configuration that allows you to run the npm run develop, build, installing dependencies is stored in the Gitpod YAML configuration. So here they use tasks, which are run when the server is starting. So the heavy tasks are in the init command, and they run only once. When you want to restart the server, then the only task that will be run is the before and the command. So this one you can save thanks to this you can save your development time when restarting servers. So here we can do npm install, npm run build, the heavy task prompt, and when I open the server next time, it's just gonna do npm run start and opens the browser in a matter of seconds with the configuration specified by me. And here we go. And ports. It can expose ports and specify the type of opening. And all the ports are visible somewhere over here. Oh, there we go. So there is even a tool that allows you to inspect the open ports. So there is it also comes with the GitHub plugin, and there we have it. So there is a GitHub IO plugin that you can install into your GitHub account, and it allows you to modify your repository, basically add the integration of this product to your repository. And they offer a couple of features. For example, adding a button or integrating this into pull request into main branch. So here I've created a pull request where I change the configuration into a Docker file. And since I already have this in my repository, the configuration, which is pretty much copied from that place. Let me close this one. I can open this with a different configuration, but since I already have it running in the background. So not only I can write this in the YAML config, but I can also specify a Docker container. So here I'm using a different base. In this case, it's Manjaro Linux. And maybe I'll make it bigger so everyone can see it. So I'm not limited to the configuration they provide. I can use any Docker image I want. And here I'm just I can run inside the npm commands manually. Or I can use neofetch to see the config of the machine. So this is the cloud engine that is running the virtual machine. So this way I can configure all the environmental variables and other more complex tasks. For people familiar with Docker, this will be really helpful. I will go through git-puts. So there is the start tasks I've mentioned before. So with the GitHub extension, they allow you to do pre-builds, and this is the stuff that I was using before. That's why the setup is so quick, because I have the pre-build things enabled. And if I go to dashboard in the new tab, you will see how it works. So they offer things like workspaces. That's how they name it. So in the base plan, you can have a limit of 50 workspaces and 4 active at the same time. And each of them is actually shareable as well. So you can interact in the same code base with multiple people. Maybe I will open one of them. This is master. I have to confirm if I clicked. Yep, so if you make it shareable, then I can just go to WarsawJS. If I paste the link, people can actually go into the repository, go into my open environment and modify the code just as they would with the plugin of LiveShare. There is this plugin probably more that's more familiar to people. So this way people you operate on the same repository, exactly the same one, live environments. I think there's a limit of like a couple of people, like 4 or 5 at the same time, but still offers this extra option. Let me go to pre-builds. Oh, there we go. So the new features they are introducing is allowing you to build multiple repositories at once. So this way you can create backend and frontend and having them running simultaneously. That's the beta feature that is coming in. They have the test repository for running that. And so this way you can connect run the backend task and frontend task in two different repositories, which might be pretty handy. Obviously, they offer the SSH, the dot files, and environmental variables, everything that you would expect from a tool like this. Things to keep in mind: the GitHub is not configured. The first time you have to do the commit or like interact with the GitHub, it will prompt you to give some extra permission. But apart from that, it's running pretty fast and pretty smooth. Things they are working on right now is also hot reloading, which is not enabled by default. So if you write something in React, it would not be, you would not have the feature of hot reloading by default enabled. And they also work on the two-way tunneling and opening port to your local browser, because from what you probably saw, if you run the port, which is like 3000, it actually opens the random generated URL with that port open. So if I go this one. Yep, it's almost instant. So the port it exposes creates a random URL that you can access to make a connection to the local host that will be usually on your machine. So, and this bridge does not allow you to cross the information of hot reloading. So there are a bit of downsides that I've noticed during the development. Apart from this, it's pretty good. I think I've actually finished quite fast. Do you have any questions about the tool? Okay. Yeah, I guess I'm gonna finish. Okay. Yeah. Where's microphone? Over there. Okay, I'm open for questions. That was a bit chaotic, but still. Oh, and by the way, they offer. Okay, and they offer multiple IDEs, so you're not only limited to VS Code, but you can use your any favorite IDE for development. And also, they offer configuration for the your IDE, so you can install custom extensions here. So if you write VS Code extensions, you can select the extension that will be installed by default on that repository. So thanks to that, like people will instantly have ready environment with all the extensions, all the commands, all the node version, correct node version, correct packages, pretty much out of the box. And yeah, I think it's a pretty good idea to have this setup, this approach to instantly commit to repository without installing dependencies, without configuring your local environment, because there's sometimes a problem with different node versions or stuff like this. There's always a hassle if you have multiple projects running on your machine and each of them require a different version of node or different dependencies. This just streamlines the process of development, and I think it's pretty good. Okay, a bit chaotic, but I think you get the point of the tool. Okay, any questions?
1, 2, 3. Oh, right now. Okay, I have a question because does it somehow supports microservices? Because, for example, I want to develop backend and I have 2 or 3 services. I want to connect with my front end, and can I work on them simultaneously and see the changes on the go, or
so there is
support that?
So there is this multi-repo workspaces. They are working on this right now. It's in beta. So this way you can request additional repositories. So if you have a front end that relies on multiple backend services, you can request them in this using this format, and it would pull the resource. It would build the projects in addition to building your own front end, it would build the dependencies you specify. And the backend, I will find the configuration of backend is a bit different. So backend just writes that the main configuration is in a different folder. So yeah, the front end writes like this is what I'm requiring to run, and backend just says that the main configuration is there. So they just connect this way. And I think there's no limit like of amount of repositories you can connect. So just you can require additional repositories to the main one. But this is in beta, so I didn't have much time to test it. But I think there is an option to have multiple, like more complex structures running across different repositories, having them connected together. Or you can always use Docker and set it up everything inside the Docker container.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
And it's open source, by the way. The whole tool is open source. And it can be self-hosted as well. Any other questions?
Hello, hey man, that was a great talk. Thanks so much. So question, I noticed there are quite a few things here mentioned about like the SSH stuff, and security-wise, I don't think, it would be, I'm a bit unclear as to how it functions entirely. Is it more like a system of just trust us, bro, and like just open the connection, or is the setup for security done mostly by the developers here?
With the security, I mean, I probably wouldn't trust that much if you have like a system that requires a lot of that handles confidential data or requires a lot of OPSEC, operation security. Then probably it's not the solution I would go for. It's probably more for open source developments rather than the proprietary one. I think for commercial use, I would still go for like something more secure, like offline development. I mean, companies trust this, trust them. Like there are companies using them, like Uber or like free code company. I know all this one is open source. So I'm not sure about this. I mean, judging that the other big companies trust them, it's probably secure. But I'm not that sure about this. It's more like open source, really. Good question,
cool.
By the way.
Thanks.
Any more questions? I will maybe mention this. They have like cool documentation. It's really, the more I dig, the more I find like cool stuff they produce. They have documents like about core values of their company and the open sourceness of the project, development experience, flexibility. They even have all the process management described as a like open source document. And I find it pretty cool. Maybe I will post the links to that because that's extra resource of managing projects and doing this kind of stuff, like writing docs in Notion. Pretty handy. Okay, so if there are no more questions, then